My name is Winnie Maggoire, and I've been a member of the Placitas community since 1969. I came here in 1969 as an East Coast refugee. Left the Woodstock Festival, went west wherever the compass would take me, and ended up in Placitas. I was 17 years old at the time. It was a long road trip. I haven't left Placitas since that day I came to Dome Valley. It was a tiny valley filled with sunshine, and these buildings that were called zomes. They were multicolored because they were skinned with recycled car tops. We had no electricity, we had no running water, we had no television, and we had no telephones. I fell in love with the mountains and the view that you could see looking down the valley. In Dome Valley, pretty much anything was possible. We were living only with the basics. People think that all of us hippies just smoked dope all day, but actually we worked really hard all day, laying adobes, building water systems, working in the garden, and then we smoked dope. At the time I turned 21, I started working at the Thunderbird Bar. This was a small community bar in the village and the center of live music for much of the Albuquerque area. One night, someone came running into the bar right at closing, yelling, hey, there's a fire back here in the village. And we all rushed out the door. And in fact, there was a building that was burning. It was a small house, and we all ran over there. When we got to the house, the building was fully engulfed in flames, but we could see through the window and the smoke, and we could see a man lying in the hallway. There was a woman screaming, Robert, Robert! And we knew we had to get him out. One of the guys put his fist through a window, and the window broke, and there was blood all over the place. So he was out of the picture at that point. The rest of us took turns climbing in and pulling him closer and closer to the window until we could finally get Robert out. Once he was out, I found that he wasn't breathing. I did CPR on Robert for what seemed like forever. But Robert was dead. That's where my career in EMS began. After those events, the community started to pull together. We wanted to do better than what we had done. At the time, we had no emergency services at all. There was no fire department. There were no emergency medical services. So we decided that we were going to take it on as a community project and learn to fight fires and take care of one another. I got quite a bit of pushback for being female, but that was not uncommon in those days. The first year I wasn't allowed to go to the fire academy because they didn't want me making a stink and pulling a Women's Liberation Movement Act at the State Fire Academy. But the second year I was allowed to go, and I joined a group of young men who traveled to the fire academy in Las Cruces in a brightly colored hippie bus. The fire academy was largely made up of cowboys, mostly from the eastern and southeastern part of the state. Their reaction to seeing a hippie bus full of guys with long hair and beards and me was something less than friendly. But we attended the fire school. It had both an academic and a fireground component, and we all did pretty well. After some grumbling one day, one of the deputy state fire marshals said to all those cowboys, "You better watch out. All of those hippies are kicking ass, both on the fire ground and in the classroom." So it went, and we were accepted at fire school. When we got back, one of the most important things we thought we needed was a fire truck. Of course, we didn't have any money, so it was going to be a little difficult to come up with a fire truck. We ended up getting a 1952 Seagraves pumper that the city of Albuquerque was about to scrap. It was a big, beautiful white truck. Every piece of fitting on it was brass, including a huge brass bell on the right-hand side. I loved driving it around. Unfortunately, we didn't have a firehouse, so the first winter it froze solid. Well, that was a setback, but we just kept going. The fire department grew, and we took medical training. At the time, there was no 911 system. There were no radios. There were all dirt roads, and there were no street signs. But I learned the satisfaction of taking care of people in the community. We built a firehouse by hand, homemade adobes, and a roof from salvaged wood materials. We got another truck. We got more trucks. We got better trucks. I even got 2 Dalmatians. I became a paramedic, and I'm still licensed after 37 years.